Alright, so Sophia's feeding the rabbit. That's Night.
Yeah.
And that is Oreo over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's Taylor and Fiddle, our little tiny ferocious attack dog. A toy Australian Shepherd. Alright, let's see if we can get him to do it. I'm keen. Come here. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. Good boy. Alright, so we're going to go get some feed for the rabbits, feed Sophia's bunnies. We're going to get them some fresh grass, some fresh water, and go from there. Alright, so we just feed the rabbits the same thing as we feed the sheep. It's a mixture of oats and a copper-free pellet feed. That's about it.
Yeah, come here, and I'll show you.
Alright, we open the Yep.
I'm gonna grab one to show Mama.
There's the feed. Alright, so we're gonna get us some fresh grass. Alright, so we got this little thing made just to feed grass, and then they got hay too. They like the fresh grass, so we just got that on there so they can't get out. Got Daniel Boone sharpening his machete. Oh. What you doing with that thing, boy? So, Sophia wants to plant some kale. We're going to open the kale seeds up. Okay, and we're going to very majestically sprinkle them in there like that. All right, we're going to cover them with some sand, because that's what she wants to use to cover them up. We're going to spread it out with our spreading tool. Spade.
X.
That's exactly what it's used for. That's it right there. Boom. All right, we'll see what they do. All right, so the biggest reason we're doing what we're doing is to kind of provide a life for my children that's different. I don't want them to ever have to go work at Valley Proteins, welding pipe in some very nasty situations like I did. So what we're gonna do in this video, some will be kind of cute and funny, with the kids. But I'm just gonna pour out as much information as I can. My Uncle Tommy, that's what he did. He didn't charge me nothing for it. He didn't ask me to do nothing, so anything I have, I'm going to give you. So there's going to be a lot of information in this about chickens and difference between chickens and rabbits and, pros and cons versus raising both. Just a little bit of everything in here. I'm going to try to make it as informational as possible. So I know there's always been like a really big debate on, do we go with chickens or do we go with rabbits? Like, well, there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons to both. Actually, there's not. Chickens, I don't have a whole lot of cons with chickens. I personally like chickens. Now, we have rabbits and chickens. Now, I mean, that's kind of the easiest solution. Well, just do both, because, I mean, honestly, for meat purposes, I do like rabbit better for meat purposes. But, I mean, you don't get a whole lot of meat off of either one of them. You can get the Rex rabbits and like the New Zealand breeds and stuff and make a decent sized rabbit. Now you can say, well, they got Flemish giants. They get humongous. Yeah, well, they're also really hard to breed also. And they don't have big litters. The Rexes, they normally have, 7, 8 litter in their litter most of the time. Now here's the thing with the rabbits. I see people doing rabbit colonies. I was like, okay, if you got a bunch of tame rabbits, that's cool. That'll come up to you. Most of the time, rabbits don't like you. Unless you have them, raise them from babies and make pets out of all of them, 9 times out of 10, rabbits are not going to like you. So they're going to be hard to catch. If you do a rabbit colony and try to free range rabbits, they're going to be hard to catch. Chickens don't really care. They figure out you, the guy that's got the bucket of feed, they're going to come running to you. And they're easy to lock up if you train them in coops. They easy to train. And then you get the eggs off of them, which I'm going to be honest with you, I don't eat a whole lot of chicken anyway. Me personally, that's why we got the sheep for meat. Because, I mean, we raising pretty good sized sheep here, and I'm going to get a good bit of meat off of them, you know, 30 to 50 pounds per, most of the time. And I mean, some of them sheep, I say that, I don't rightfully know, I'm guessing, because we ain't weighed nothing. I know the last ram we killed was probably 200, 210 pounds. He was a hoss. But like with the chicken size, like if you get Wyandottes, like we got silver lace Wyandottes, they ain't much good for eating because they tiny birds. Now you could do Australorps, or you could do a sex link. You could take Australorps and breed them with a barred rock, and they make a pretty tanky build chicken. That's also a laying machine. A black sex link chicken lays 325 eggs a year, and they make big roosters. That's actually where we're going to end up going. That's what we were making there for a while. And like I said, we just reset. We completely started over. So, but if you went with, if you're looking at rabbits versus chickens, trying to figure out which one you want to do, get you a barred rock rooster and some Australorp hens. Breed those. The Australorps are good for laying. And then you'll end up getting the sex links. You can keep some of those. Like I said, they will lay. They will outlay just about any chicken. And you'll have the meat size there too. And me personally, I would go that route over rabbits, because rabbits just aren't worth it if you do that. Rabbits are a good meat source. Now, I've always heard they've got to have a certain level of protein, and there's a certain feed you got to buy. I can't remember if it's, I think it's like 20%, 21% they got to have baby. It might be 16 like a chicken. I think it was a higher percentage though. And the last litter we did with rabbits, we barely gave them feed. We just fed them straight grass every day. They had babies and she raised them off of straight grass. But they're in a hutch, so that means I got to go out there and I got to have a spot of tall grass growing all the time, and feed them grass. Now, here's the other thing with chickens versus rabbits. I like chickens because I can grab those eggs, I can put them in an incubator, and I can hatch them in the spring or the summer or the fall or the winter. And I can make chickens every day of the week if I want to. I don't care what anyone says. Now, it may be in different areas, but down here in the South, rabbits are not going to breed in the summertime. They had their babies in the spring and in the fall. So whenever it comes to summertime, you're not going to get no extra rabbits, which is cool. If you breed enough of them in the cooler seasons, you'll be able to get what you want to get and not have to worry about it for the summertime. But there's also that aspect about it. Now, right now, we just got 2 rabbits and we're just using them for the manure, to throw rabbit poop on our fruit trees and stuff, and our vegetables and fruit producing plants, because it's a high content and it's high in phosphorus, and that's good for fruit stuff. So I'm not breeding them right now. Down the road we're going to, but like I got to get my hutches built. I got these 2 rabbits we got, that's Sophia's pets, and like they're in a pen, you know. If I'm gonna do it, I got to get them set in a hutch, and that's the other side too. Like you could do the rabbit colonies and stuff like that, but they got a lot more room to run around and play. They're going to burn more fat off, and they're not going to get as big. That's why people do hutches. It seems like, it might seem kind of cruel, you know, but I mean, you're going to eat them. So I mean, that's what, if you're getting them, that's what you're getting them for. Put them in a hutch and they'll get bigger because they ain't got room to burn fat, you know? But like I said, me personally, I'm relying on meat from the sheep. We took some of the sheep meat and we ground it up in the burger. So we made like a stew, like a roast, chuck roast over rice with some gravy on it. We did one with a brown gravy and one with a shoe gravy, and it was on it. Then we turned around and made burgers with it out of the burger meat, and I could not taste the difference in sheep and burger. It was really good. It didn't have any gamey taste, but that goes back to how we skinned it. So whenever you do deer or sheep, there is 8 glands total. There's 6 that you need to get. There's 1 gland on each shoulder around the armpit area. You gotta, whenever you skin them on the hams, hanging off of the front of the thigh, there'll be 2 fat dangly things hanging off. That's a gland. That's exterior gland. Then you got one in the buttocks area. Inside of the meat, you got to go down the different cuts of meat. You'll kind of see where it's not a ligament, something like that. You'll be able to see a white line in there where it's like the different cuts are separated. And you got to cut in there and find it. Now there's 2 other ones. I couldn't tell you where they're at. They're just in there somewhere. If you go through each individual cut and get all your different cuts of meat off of your hams, kind of like a butcher would, you'll find the BBs in there too and get those glands out. They'll be like surrounded in like a hard, fatty type looking thing. It's what it'll look like. But to make sure you cut them in half, and you can see like the green stuff inside of them, just to make sure you got them. And that's what we did, thanks to Tommy, because he told me about it. Because I mean, that's, like he said, it's kind of hard information to find, and I didn't know that. But the result was we got ram meat that tastes like burger. I mean, it was delicious. It don't shrink up. It's kind of amazing, actually. Prettiest red meat I've ever seen in my life. So we're going to stick to the sheep for that. We're going to stick to the chickens for eggs. I'm probably not going to skin a whole lot of chickens. I may down the road. Honestly, if I was going to do that, just because of how fast, like I'm not running a chicken plucker and I ain't doing all that stuff. We were skinning them just like you do anything else. We just skinning them, you know, cutting the skin off, and instead of like not plucking them and boiling them and all that stuff. We were just skinning them out, and it worked good. Tasted good. You fry them things up, tastes like fried chicken. I mean, you know what I mean? And it's a lot quicker than using a plucker. I'm not going that route. Like if I was going to do meat birds, I would do quail personally, and I may end up going back down to quail again. It would probably this fall, if I get into it, I'll start building a coop. I could repurpose once I get my chickens set up, I could keep my little small chicken coop down there and do quail inside of that, because you don't want to free range the quail. They'll be gone. But when I say that for the quail, so they're kind of the same thing with rabbits. They don't lay in the wintertime. They don't lay all year round. There's things you can do with misters and getting humidity and fans and stuff that'll make them lay more. But I mean, it's like, is it really worth it? But like for meat, it's so quick skinning them. You got to have more of them. I mean, it don't take but a minute to skin a quail. You pop the heads off, skin them, just snatch everything off, and it's good to go. Put that thing in the frying pan. So we may look at doing quail down the road. Kind of basically what we're doing is, man, I don't know. The way we're set up, like our cost of living is so low. We're staying in a camper. I don't have any bills in my name. I don't have any bills, other than an electric bill and a phone bill. And like I cut my phone off. I'm just using my wife's phone, and like we ain't got no bills. Our car insurance is paid up for the year, stuff like that. Like we're living, not really being real careful with money, and still like staying around $1,200 a month right now. And I'm good for a while. We got set up with what we did with selling our house and doing this. I'm set up, thank the Lord Jesus Christ, my Savior, to where I can work this land for the next year and a half without having to work. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this place into, I want it to be turned into a just farming homestead haven. Apple trees, peach trees, plum trees, grapes, muscadines, produce, tomatoes, all your farming stuff, everything, winter vegetables, herbs, sheep, chicken, rabbits, quail. I want to get as much as possible and really eliminate our grocery bill more than anything. Somebody asked me if I wanted a job the other day. It might be like a part-time thing, just like a farm equipment mechanic, and as an older gentleman that kind of needs help, and I may go do that just to help him and kind of learn a little bit more about his trade and like pricing and stuff like that. It would be something to add to my kind of tool belt to have down the road. A little bit of my background: I've been a pipe welder all my life. I run heavy equipment. When I say welder, a pipe welder, I wasn't just pipe. I welded for sheet metal, pipe. I've welded for electricians. I've welded for iron workers. I've been a fitter. I've been a shop foreman. I've traveled. I've done a little bit of everything. I've had a pretty fun time with that. I've worked in paper mills to fabrication shops to nuclear plants. Been all over the place. And I was very thankful for it. I'm thankful for the knowledge I was able to gain doing construction work. But the Lord's brought us into a place where I don't have to do that no more. And we're trying to live a different way of life that's not normal. I want to live where I don't have to be in debt. I want to live where I don't have to be under the control of somebody else for another company for their business. I want to live where if like I get a job, I'll go get a job. If I have to, I can up and leave and quit because I'm tired of working there. My main goal is to be able to make money off of this land. If I can make $20,000 a year, that's all I got to make. And we can live off of that and not struggle. Whenever we get this stuff established, I'm gonna go over some pricings and stuff of everything. So like, I'm really curious to see how cheap I can get my grocery bill. Now like this winter, I'm gonna be eating salads, kale, broccoli. It'd probably be a while for the broccoli. That normally takes a while. But like it's like the kale and spinach, turnip greens and beets. Any type of greens. We got mustards and stuff out there growing. I'm gonna be eating salads more than anything. Salads and eggs and sheep, and deer. Hopefully we're gonna start going deer hunting here soon. I done kind of got like, kind of like them older guys get. Like, oh well, I ain't going during rut. I'm gonna wait till it cools down. I'm gonna wait till it cools down. I don't care nothing about killing no bucks. We got some nice 10 points. We got a couple on the wall. And have I ever killed any monsters? No. Now, the biggest deer I've ever killed was a 175-pound 10 point. I'm cool with that. That's all I need, man. I'm good with that. I just hunt for meat. I don't care about the trophy hunting. Honestly, I don't give a crap about hunting at all. I'm gonna take my son because he wants to go hunting. He wants to get him a deer. And Sophia wants to hunt too, so we're gonna take her hunting too. I gotta get us a dual stand. All I got is like little tree stands right now. But we gonna get into that down the road. Like I said, I'll get into like some pricing things. So like with everything that we've got now, I've spent more on the garden than I had to. I spent $780 on 10 tons of soil that came from Humble Acres. The sawdust was free, so that's the only reason why we're using sawdust over mulch. It's the same thing, and it does the same thing. It has the same purpose. It holds moisture really well, and like I said, there's a lumber yard down the road that you can get it for free. So we're going to use what's available here. So $780 for that. The seeds is $38. Now our biggest expense was the sheep, to get started with the sheep, but it was worth it because the 3 Katahdin ewes I've got are proven with twins. They're all 3 to 6 years old. Going off of what Tommy's been telling me, they and man, he's one of those people that just goes into so much depth, and he's not ever going to steer you wrong. We bypassed a lot of time by buying those, because you don't have to go through the whole process of finding out, you know, if they're going to have twins, or if they're going to have only one, or if they're going to be a good mother or a bad mother. Just saved us a lot of time with that. That, you know, like we got 3 Katahdins. I killed one of the Katahdins. We ate that ram. So we got 3 Katahdin ewes. We got 2 Barbados black belly ewes.